this week we've been looking at Luke chapter 22 and thinking together, considering together what these last days or hours of Jesus' life would have looked like. And what we find at the end of the chapter is that after this meal and then a time of prayer that Jesus has in the Garden of Gethsemane on the Mount of Olives, as Luke tells us, the soldiers come, the Romans come, they arrest Jesus, they take him off for trial, and then later in chapter 23 we'll find the end of the story and on into chapter 24. But what we see here, at the moment that they arrest Jesus, what I want to point your attention to today is in verse 53. Jesus responds to those who come to arrest him, and he says, "Every day I was with you in the temple courts, and you did not lay a hand on me. But this is your hour when darkness reigns." It's a pretty dark statement in one sense, perhaps very foreboding. But what I find interesting about this moment is that Jesus sort of declares, look, this is the moment. Darkness has a moment. It has an hour, right? And it extends into Luke chapter 23, and we're going to see the trial. And we know what's coming. We know the cross is coming, and Jesus knew it too. And he says, this is the moment, right? And in this moment, when it felt like darkness was taking hold, we see the response of the disciples. They ran away. They denied that they knew him. They were afraid. They hid. They wept. They were angry. They were sad. They were all sorts of things because all they knew is that it felt like darkness was having a moment, and they didn't know that it was just a moment. But you'll notice that Jesus doesn't do any of those things. He goes calmly. He's at peace. He is steely and determined for what it is that he knows he has to do. And I believe that the resolve that we see in Jesus and the peace in the midst of crisis that we see in Jesus is because he knows the end of the story. That he knows that even in the moments where darkness is reigning, it is just a moment. And the reality is that we have the benefit of time and history. So for us, when we enter into these spaces where it might feel like darkness is having a moment, the reality is that we know the end of the story too. I know that chapter 24 is coming. It doesn't end with chapter 23. I know the resurrection is coming. And so when I walk through the dark moments, when I walk through those spaces where it feels like darkness is reigning, I don't need to live with fear or despair. I don't need to allow sadness to take hold because I know the end of the story. And when Satan comes to me and tries to tell me lies about the moment that I'm in, when Satan tries to tell me this is more than a moment, that there's no victory at the end of this darkness, I can tell him the truth. I can remind him of the end of the story. So my challenge for you today, my question for you today is we're going to put a song on the screen. And what I want to ask you is, what is the truth that you need to speak into the dark moment that you might be going through? Or if you're not going through, what is the truth that you need to hold on to so that you're prepared when the dark moment comes? It's only a moment, and I know the end of